Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to give you guys my January wrap-up of all the amazing books that I read this month. I had a great month in reading, so let's not waste any time. Let's just go ahead and get into it. I will start with the 2 5-star reads. I guess I'm not saving the best for last, but first up was Friday Black. You guys are probably like, oh my gosh, how many times is she gonna talk about it? I promise you guys, I think this is gonna be the last time. This is by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, and it's a series of short stories that are like dystopian-like, touching from everything to code switching to consumerism and Black Friday and the school system and all sorts of fun, interesting topics. And when I say fun, it's not fun like that. This is kind of like a dark comedy, but it's not even really funny, but there are some points that are funny. You have to read it to understand what I mean. The opening story is probably the hardest one as far as the most grotesque. So don't let that discourage you if you do start it and you're like, oh my God. That's probably the hardest one, I would say, to read. Even though there's a lot of interesting stuff in that opening story. But yeah, I highly recommend this. I gave this 5 stars. That means I would not change anything about this. I hope more and more people read this so we could just all talk about it and be like, wow. The next 5-star that I read, I finally read Jesmyn Ward's Men We Reaped. Now I have read every book of hers except Where the Line Bleeds, which makes me so excited. Ooh, this matches my lips. But yeah. This book, Men We Reaped, a memoir, I put off so many times because it's a story of her life, but she explicitly states that this is a story about essentially 5 men around her who died in a short time frame. And that shaped a lot of who she is, clearly, and they shaped a lot of who she was because they were just close to her. But this is really about life in the rural South. It's their story. She did it with dignity. She tied in major themes of America and the system and just race in America and how so many things tied into their deaths. And it is, wow, it's just beautifully done. Like, it's hard to say that when it's such a tragic series of events, but it was so authentic and so real. And I feel like this is why I recommended this for Black History Month. Like, this was a really good story, but this is really life in the South. And I mean, I'm not from the rural South, but this is life in the South. And she showed the beauty of growing up, like her love-hate relationship essentially with Mississippi, but also both sides of it. It's just, if you guys have read this, tell me what your thoughts were. This was wow. Even in the end, she gives like a lot of statistics to tie in a lot of the themes, and this was just so thoughtfully done. I can't imagine what type of headspace she had to be to write this and to finally put it out. Like, and I mean, it just, wow. It was wow. 5 stars for me. Ooh, next up, Washington Black. So this is interesting. This I started in 2018 and I didn't finish until like this month. Well, January. It's now February. But yeah, I gave this 3 stars. This was good for me, but it did not live up to what I was expecting. Like, it's a story about Washington Black, who is a young slave on a plantation in Barbados. It follows kind of his life on the plantation a little bit, and his relationship to Big Kit, who's like a mother figure, and his relationship to other people who come into his life throughout. So it's kind of like a coming of age story, but it's also like a relationships story where you're following him and his development. And it's an adventure story in the sense of he is basically afforded the opportunity, that's hard to say, of traveling, unconventional like way, is what I'll say without giving away too much. The thing with this, it was interesting at first, but then some of the things just kind of dragged on for me. Like, it was really good writing, but at the same time, especially when I got to the end, it was almost like, okay, like, without giving the ending away, it was just like, why? Like, why did we go through this? Why did I go through all this? So that's how the book left me feeling. But some of the themes touched in this was very interesting, especially the theme with him and one of the strongest male figures in his life, who ends up being in that relationship, was complex, and it deals with a lot of the complexities of just continuously, even now in Black in America, and the relationships that you forge with different people. So that aspect was interesting, but nonetheless, I really wanted to love this, which I didn't. So let me know what you guys thought about this. So Long Way Down. Ooh, this is Jason Reynolds. So backstory on this, on my TBR, I know you guys saw that I was gonna read For Everyone, which I did read. So let's talk about that first, actually. For Everyone, it actually was one poem. I had to return it from to the library, which is why you don't see it in my hand. But it was like 50 something pages. I didn't even know it was just one poem, but it was really good. Like, it was a 4-star for me. Like, I really enjoyed it, and I felt like it was an easy read and it was inspiring. I love that it was written while the author hadn't made it, whatever that means, but like, the author wasn't making a living off of writing, and you could see that hope and that hunger in it, but he was also writing to himself, almost to be like content with the process and with knowing that if you're doing something that you love, you're in your purpose right now. And I felt like it was so timely for me and just inspiring. And of course, it's great to have these goals, but it's also great to take a step back and to kind of enjoy the process and enjoy the beauty of where you are. Like, if not, you're never really gonna be happy with where you are. So I really appreciated that, and I felt like it was good to see that he did make it, you know? But that brought me, after reading that, I loved it so much, I wanted to read Long Way Down, which, so tangent, Brown Girl Reading, she has a Black BookTube chat that's going on every Saturday for the month of February. I just participated in this last February, this last Saturday, it's the first one, and it was me, Musical Tati, Books with B, Rachel Ray. We all had a great chat. I bring that all up is because this was recommended, I think, by Books with B. Yes, and I had just finished it, and I vouched, like, this was a great read. This is essentially about a young guy who is on an elevator, and he is getting visited by different people from his past who have passed, and whew, it's a lot, but it's really good. And the whole thing, I should mention, is told in verse, and you can see it. It's beautifully done, and it tells the story, but it also is, you're following him to see what decision he's going to make, as far as, is he gonna seek revenge on someone who killed someone who was close to him or not. And it's really good. Yeah, this was very thought-provoking, and something I think about. And I was talking about the ending, like, never mind, let me not talk about the ending here, but if you watch it, I really do want to know, was the ending clear to you? Because I don't know if it was clear to me what choice or decision that he made. Next up that I finished was The Wisdom of Sundays, which is by Oprah Winfrey. It's like a self-help book. I actually listened to that on audio, which I highly recommend. I did that through my library, which I think would be a great resource to listen to. And wow, it was really good. Like, that to me was 4 stars, maybe even 4.5. But it wasn't necessarily perfect in the sense of you get everything. It was kind of like it was perfect if you're thinking of it as like a resource for a lot of other self-help, inspirational like books. The audiobook not only talks about like her writings, like not only the stuff like she wrote, but her wisdoms, but it also is interviewing, or has the interviews from Super Soul Sundays that Oprah used to do with these different authors and like their inputs. And I took so much away from that, and it kind of has me on a rabbit hole right now. I highly recommend that book. Really good stuff. Okay, so next up, Black Enough. Now these are the next 2 books that I talk about. I haven't finished completely. This one I'm almost done with, Black Enough, edited by Evie's the Boy. This is a great collection of short stories. This is young adult fiction, and I feel like, look at this cover, look at that. Gorgeous, clearly, but also it's a great resource for other writers. Like, it has Justina Ireland, Rita Williams Garcia, Danielle Clayton, Jason Reynolds, Renee Watson. The list kind of just keeps going and going, and such great stories in here. I can't fully rate it because I haven't finished it, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a solid 4-star for me. If not, I may even think 4.5 stars, but I have to finish it before I can fully give you the rating on this. So definitely check me out on Goodreads on Left Unread. I'll definitely update my final review of this once I finish, and maybe for the end of February, once I finish, I'll just circle back to let you guys know how this ended up. Same with Zora Neale Hurston. You guys know, or you don't know, my goal is to read one classic a month from a Black author, and this month I chose Zora Neale Hurston, Tell My Horse. It is her nonfiction novel about voodoo and life in Haiti and Jamaica. And this wasn't something that I saw hardly any. I didn't even know about this book, but I wanted to read more of her nonfiction after reading Barracoon. And when I saw this title, even though it didn't really have that many reviews, I was like, I want to read it. And so far, it's really good. I think her nonfiction is just, that's her, not her lane, but that's her lane that I love, because she's an amazing storyteller of actually what's going on. And it's crazy because this is the 1930s, and I completed the Jamaican portion. So her traveling to Jamaica and her being there and interacting with the people and her kind of perception of that and her input and understanding the history. She gives you like the history of the Maroons and history of kind of like Jamaica and how that society was kind of sought at that moment. Like there was something interesting on the way they view race there at this particular time, which was interesting to me. Yeah, so I feel like I have to wait until I finish, because nothing offensive so far, but sometimes when you have these things, and even like the description at the top was like some of the description of the New York Times, it's saying strikingly dramatic and unusual and intensely interesting book with strange information. Like those trigger words for me, some of that is a little disrespectful. But, you know, I'm reading it to try to figure out, you know, to make sure like this is something I can fully recommend. So far, I feel like this is really good. And Zora was true to depicting and not casting judgment on any of the situations. Another interesting thing about this was definitely, at least as of right now, it's definitely more so about the life, the culture, the history, not so much the mystical as of yet. So I'll let you guys know how this continues. Whew, that was a lot of books. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. You guys know I didn't do a February TBR. And that's because in my last video for the 15 books I recommend for Black History Month, I told you I'm going to be reading The Warmth of Other Suns by Isabel Wilkerson, and also How Long to Black Future Month. As soon as that poll closes out, I will choose whichever one got more votes, and that's the one I will live stream chat about on March 3rd. So that's Sunday, March 3rd. I haven't picked a time yet, but I'm thinking the evening might be best. So stay tuned for that. I'm so excited. Also, just check out everything that's going out on YouTube, especially for Black History Month. There's a lot going on. There's Blackathon that's going on with several Black booktubers. Of course, Brown Girl Reading is having ReadSoulit. I'm also going to be reading Unforgivable Love. That was her selection. And she's going to have the Black BookTube chats every Saturday, where you're going to get to be introduced to so many different Black booktubers, which I think is amazing. That she's using her platform for that. And yeah, there's just a lot going on, and I'm so excited. And yeah, I'll be traveling, but I'll be posting quite a bit of content. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. So definitely continue commenting, letting me know what you're reading or what you think I should read. I take so many suggestions from you guys, so thank you. And love and light, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.